As we continue day 3, a reminder of where we left off. Mitch was thrown from his boat, and it was firmly tacoed against a rock upstream. I was flipped out of my boat, and my kayak, heavily laden with water, was floating downstream without a pilot. Shane had navigated the rough spots unscathed and was waiting downstream. Rich had been ejected from his boat, regained his boat, and made it to a slow spot to recoup.
This is the challenge of the Super Friends.
We rejoin our heroes at the first boat rescue. If you look way upstream, you can see where I let go of my boat, and it starts to float down. I am just going to narrate this video. It's coming down. Rich is coming to get it. There's Mitch, exhausted, on the side. Okay, I think he has it. Alright, he's got it. Let's get it to the side. Oh, there it goes. Oh no! Rapids. He doesn't have it. Okay. There's my paddle on its tether. He's got it. He's got it now. Let's get to the side. Okay, right here's a good spot. Let's get it over here. Alright, that's a great spot. Uh-oh. Got it? Nope. Maybe? Nope. Don't have it. There's Shane on the bank. He's coming over to help. Got caught. Boat's gonna push you down. More rapids. That one was backwards for sure. Pretty decent rapids right here. Dang, gotta catch that boat. It's the major rapids. Gotta catch it. There's a big rapid coming up. Boom. Boom. Okay, got it. Well, there's Shane's boat over on the side. Okay, let's grab this thing. Maybe we can dock it on that big rock right there. Oh, that's some fast water. Let's dock this sucker on the rock. Uh-oh, the water's pulling the back end. Nope. I think Rich is out of his boat right now. He's in between the boats. One hand on each boat. Well, lost one boat. Okay, he's out of the water. He's in the water. Between the boats, walking him downstream. I'm going to turn up the volume right here and let's hear him. He's exhausted.
Holy shit!
What happened?
Wind!
I mean, what happened? West?
You don't know that shit.
Like stuck?
He was near the bank. He got out of his boat somehow. I saw his boat coming.
Got that.
Shane got the rope.
That was my drawer, dude.
I got my extra.
Then I lost control. This thing was completely on the water.
Holy fuck!
Dude, completely on the river.
I'm fucking beat.
So, let's take your boat, or Wes's boat, each, and hey, there's your fucking.
Oh, that's Mitch's. It's snapped, but go if you can get there.
Oh, it snapped?
It was only 16 minutes ago when Rich had his first wreck. If you don't know what it's like to be thrown out of your boat, it's hard to explain. It takes the life out of you. You hit the fight or flight response, and it seems your adrenaline robs you of all your energy. It makes you completely exhausted. Rich is just standing in the water, trying to catch his breath, trying to get his bearings back. When you finally do find land, all you want to do is lay down and rest. I want to point something out real quick. Look at Shane. He jumped out of his boat on the very edge of the river, and he is waist deep in water. This is a big river. This is the upper section that he navigated blindly trying to rescue my boat. And this is the lower section where he finally did save my boat. Shane rescued Rich's rope and Mitch's paddle and docked on the other side of the river and hiked upstream to find Mitch.
Meanwhile, on Tyron 7, within the planet's great crystal forest.
I stood up on the bank and watched my boat float downstream. I was relieved to see Rich down below. I knew my boat was safe. I saw Mitch's raft firmly pinned against a rock and immediately became worried for his safety. Walking downstream until a sigh of relief came over me as I saw Mitch walking on the other side of the bank. I then focused all my attention on freeing Mitch's boat. Looking at the maelstrom of white water, it quickly became clear to me that we couldn't free his boat from this side. I walked upstream, looking for a place to cross, and downstream, finally realizing the only way to cross was via boat. I then headed downstream to find Rich and my boat. To my surprise, they were quite a long ways downstream. Finally reaching Rich and my boat, we went about dumping the water out of my boat and getting across the river. We grabbed our ropes and hiked upstream to where Mitch and Shane were waiting. When we finally reached them, I saw defeat in their eyes. It looked hopeless.
Well, opinions?
I think we're in a lot of trouble.
That's a great help, Mr. Chekhov, Bones.
Well, I think Mr. Chekhov's right. We are in a lot of trouble.
Spock, and if you say we're in a lot of trouble,
We are?
Apparently, while everything else was going on, Mitch and Shane watched the boat slip off the front narrow rock. It's a rock, not a rock, and wedge itself even more firmly on the large rock below it. How would you get your boat out if it was stuck in there and all your gear? We all stood around the crash zone and threw out ideas on how to free the boat. One idea was of emptying one boat of all its supplies, hauling it upstream above the crash site, and then 2 people would get in the boat, float down, and try to free it. Our rafts were about a half-mile downstream, and I knew that would take too much time. It was getting late. The sun was down or almost down. We did not have the luxury of time. I wasn't too confident in that plan, and I thought of it as a last resort. We definitely couldn't do it in the dark. There's very little actual footage of that night. For some reason, I felt I had to save the boat. That it was my responsibility. And I was determined to do just that, no matter what. The easiest, quickest, and safest way to free the boat would be to tie a heavy weight to the end of a rope and try to hook it and pull it free. I could tell everyone was a little doubtful about that, but let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. Rich and I had our ropes, but we doubted they would be long enough. So we tied them together and hooked a water bottle filled with rocks on the other end. I didn't want to have to throw the rock bottle and keep track of the rope, so I handed the end of the rope to Rich and Mitch. I carefully stepped out into the river, going as far as I could and safely stand. Knee-deep in water, I made my first toss. I tossed it like a football. Not even close. I then tossed it sidearm like a baseball. Not even close. Okay. A granny shot. I threw it underhand. Not even close. I held the rope and spun it around and around and threw it underhand. Closer. A lot closer, but still miles away. This wasn't working. I was getting a little discouraged and looked around. I saw Shane making a lasso movement over his head. It was loud with the whitewater and hard to hear, but I got his gist. I'd never really tried doing that type of throw, but I thought to myself, what the heck? I'll give it a try. Spinning the rope over my head like a lasso, I finally released. To my surprise and relief, the throw reached the boat. It was off target, but hope was renewed. We pulled the rope in carefully, making sure the excess line was untangled and free, and tried again. This time the rock bottle careened off the boat, just missing. The next throw was just over the boat, but didn't stick. The next throw was perfect, and the bottle stuck in the right spot. I turned to Rich and Mitch to see the rope slip out of their hands and float downstream. The rope was gone, along with any hope. we were finished. Shane had rescued a rope earlier, and he brought it out now. It was our only remaining rope. It seemed way too short, but why not at least give it a try? It turns out it was just long enough. We made a loop on one end, and Rich looped it around his wrist. We weren't losing the rope this time. On the other end, we had a bag, and we filled it full of rocks. After a couple tosses, I hooked the boat, and Rich and I tugged together. The rope held. We pulled harder. Still it held. We gave a good yank, and the rock bag flew off. With the sudden release, I lost my footing and fell. The water almost took me downstream. I had to be more careful. Unfortunately, the boat didn't budge. But there was hope. The rock sack had stuck well, and we were able to pull on it pretty hard before it let loose. The boat was really firmly stuck, and it was going to take a lot to get it out. We kept trying. After about 20 to 30 throws, I was getting pretty good at hitting it on the first shot. We kept tugging and tossing, until finally the boat moved a little. We were exhilarated. Mitch moved a little ways downstream to catch the boat, and Shane moved farther downstream as a secondary precaution. There was a lot riding on this. Without Mitch's boat, he only had his wetsuit on. No clothes, no sleeping bag, no tent, no food, no nothing. Not to mention, we still had 20 miles left to float. We have gotten it loosened from the main grip, though, and the next couple of tugs freed it. The relief and ecstasy that I'm sure we all felt as smiles, yells, and high fives went around. Mitch easily corralled his boat a short ways downstream. We had done it.
The Defiant. Adrift but salvageable. Tough little ship. Little.
Rich and I tugged on the rope. The rock sack had gotten stuck in the stream. We pulled harder to no avail. We went upstream, pulled, downstream, pulled, trying to get different angles, but we couldn't free it. We finally gave up and threw the rope to the river gods. Our last rope. We now have no rope. We all met downstream where our boats were parked and floated to the first pull-off we could find. It was getting late. It would be dark soon. We had to find a place to camp now. Some footage from the next morning. About 50 yards away from the stream was a plateau. We hoped it was an acceptable place to camp. We had decided we had to camp here. We put on dry clothes and hauled our supplies up the plateau. I say we got in dry clothes, but everything in Mitch's boat had gotten wet. We all pulled together our supplies, and with our extra clothes, we got Mitch something dry to put on. The campsite turned out to be awesome. Flat, good ground for a tent, plenty of ample firewood at arm's length, and the views were great. This was actually a pretty awesome spot. It was quite the sight at camp, with all of Mitch's belongings spread out, hanging on trees, bushes, on the ground, trying to get them dry. We built a big fire that night and warmed our chilly bones. Mitch's sleeping bag was wet, and it took all night by the fire to dry it. He held it by the fire, constantly rotating the wet spots until it was dry enough to sleep in. A wet sleeping bag in April is not a good thing. We spent the night huddled around the campfire with some hot cocktails in hand. We ate dinner and talked about the day's events. Shane had a couple of jackrabbits for dinner that night, but he didn't share.
like some chocolate?
Sure.
Then you should have brought some.